Over 3 million immigrant families live in the UK today, but by 2025, thousands of them could be torn apart by new immigration laws. From skyrocketing income thresholds to tougher visa rules for children, these changes aren't just paperwork, they're reshaping lives, futures, and families. Imagine working legally for years, only to be told your spouse or child can't join you. Imagine being denied for missing a single housing document or failing a language test by 1 point. These aren't distant possibilities. They're real, and they're happening fast. If you or someone you love is part of the UK immigrant community, you need to know what's coming before it's too late. Number 1. Shift in immigration sponsorship rules. Starting in 2025, the UK government will roll out major changes to how immigrants sponsor family members. These adjustments are part of a broader plan to create a more skills-based immigration system, but they come with real-life consequences for families trying to reunite or remain together. One of the biggest updates affects the requirements for family sponsorship. Previously, British citizens or settled residents could sponsor spouses, partners, or children under more flexible guidelines. But under the new rules, sponsors must now meet stricter eligibility criteria, including proof of stable housing, higher income, and a longer residency period in the UK before applying. Another significant change is the increased scrutiny on relationship evidence. Immigration officers will be checking for stronger documentation like joint bank accounts, shared leases, and regular communication logs to verify the authenticity of a family relationship. This shift is especially tough on newly arrived immigrants or those working low-wage jobs, as they may find it harder to meet the minimum financial requirements or demonstrate long-term relationship proof. Families from non-English speaking countries may also face challenges providing documents in acceptable formats. If you're planning to bring a spouse, fiancé, or dependent child to the UK, it's essential to prepare well in advance, gather official records, understand the updated sponsor obligations, and consult legal advisors if needed. These changes aren't just policy tweaks, they affect real families, creating a new reality for thousands hoping to call the UK home together. Number 2. Increased minimum income threshold. One of the most talked about changes for 2025 is the increase in the minimum income threshold for sponsoring a family member. The UK government is raising the bar significantly, meaning anyone wishing to bring a spouse, partner, or child to the UK must now prove a much higher level of earnings than in previous years. This change is part of a broader effort to reduce migration numbers, but it could have a life-changing impact on families already living in the UK or planning to settle here. For context, the previous threshold was around £18,600, but this is expected to rise to over £29,000 or more, depending on family size. That's a jump of nearly £10,000, which may push many working-class families out of eligibility. If the sponsor doesn't meet this requirement, even having savings or part-time income might not be enough to qualify. This will especially affect individuals working in caregiving, retail, or hospitality, where wages are often below the national average. Families may now be forced to make tough decisions, like living apart, delaying reunification, or seeking private legal support to explore alternative routes. For some, this could mean moving to a different country altogether. It's important to calculate your total household income, check updated requirements through official government sources, and consider joint applications where both partners earn. Without meeting the new threshold, the UK Home Office could deny your visa application outright, leaving families in difficult and uncertain positions. This isn't just an administrative change, it reshapes the very idea of family migration in the UK. Number 3. Changes to dependent child policies. In 2025, the UK is also introducing new rules concerning dependent children on family visas, creating additional challenges for immigrant families. One of the major updates includes stricter age definitions. Children over the age of 18 will no longer be automatically considered dependents, even if they are financially reliant on their parents. This could result in families being split if an older child's separate visa is denied. Another significant shift is the requirement for more documentation to prove dependency and relationship. Parents must now show school records, financial support evidence, and cohabitation history to justify their child's inclusion on the application. In some cases, even a child under 18 could be refused if there's insufficient proof they live with the sponsoring parent. These rules are particularly hard on families with complex custody arrangements, divorced parents, or children raised by extended relatives abroad. What makes things even more difficult is the longer processing time expected for applications involving children. The Home Office may conduct additional checks to verify documents, especially from countries where record-keeping standards differ from the UK. For many, this could delay school enrolment or access to NHS healthcare, adding emotional and financial stress. To prepare, families should begin collecting documents like birth certificates, guardianship papers, and translated records well in advance. It's also a good idea to consult with immigration specialists familiar with child-specific cases. These changes highlight the importance of planning early, because one missing paper could mean months of delay or even visa refusal, directly impacting a child's future. Number 4. Stricter English language requirements. Starting in 2025, the UK is tightening its English language requirements for immigrants applying under family visa routes. While applicants were previously required to pass a basic A1 level test, new regulations demand higher proficiency, especially for those applying to extend their stay or apply for permanent settlement. This change aims to support integration but could become a major barrier for families from non-English speaking countries. Under the new rules, partners or parents applying for a visa must now demonstrate at least B1 level English for certain visa stages. That includes being able to speak OKC, listen, read, and write effectively in English. These tests are now more rigorously monitored, with biometric ID checks at exam centres to ensure authenticity. Unfortunately, these tests come with added costs, from registration fees to preparation classes, putting pressure on families already struggling to meet other immigration expenses. Older applicants, or those with limited access to education, may find these new demands particularly overwhelming. In some communities, especially where English isn't widely spoken, preparing for and passing these exams can take months of study and financial investment. If a visa is denied due to language failure, applicants may have to start the process again, costing more time and money. To adapt, families should look into local ESOL courses, online platforms offering mock exams, and trusted immigration support services. Practicing early, using real-life situations like watching English news or reading aloud daily can make a real difference. These changes make it clear. Language skills are no longer optional. They're a key to keeping families together in the UK. Number 5. Revisions to NHS surcharge fees. In 2025, one of the most immediate financial impacts on immigrant families will be the increase in the NHS surcharge, officially known as the Immigration Health Surcharge, IHS. This fee is mandatory for most visa applicants and gives access to public healthcare in the UK. However, the new rates are a sharp jump from previous years, rising from around £624 per adult to over £1,035 per person per year, with children charged at a reduced but still significant rate. For a family of 4 applying for a 5-year visa, that could mean an upfront cost of more than £15,000 just for health access, and this payment must be made before the visa is approved. It's non-refundable if your application is rejected, placing even more stress on families already working hard to meet income and sponsorship rules. Many are now considering private healthcare insurance or delaying applications while saving up. However, without paying the IHS, access to the NHS is extremely limited, covering only emergency treatment or special exemptions. Some families may qualify for fee waivers, especially if they're facing financial hardship or applying under human rights grounds. But waivers require extensive documentation and are not guaranteed. It's vital to explore payment plans, seek advice from legal aid organisations, or calculate total costs before submitting any application. The rise in IHS fees is more than a budget issue. It influences decisions about when, how, and if families can migrate or reunite in the UK. For many, the dream of accessing free healthcare as a resident now comes with a high price tag, paid up front and in full. Number 6. Altered Settlement (ILR) criteria. In 2025, the pathway to indefinite leave to remain (ILR), often referred to as permanent residency, will become more complex for immigrant families. One of the key changes is a longer qualifying period for certain visa categories, extending from 5 years to 6 or even 10 years, depending on your status and family circumstances. This extended timeline means families will need to maintain visa compliance and financial stability for longer before becoming eligible. Another change is the tightening of rules around continuous residency. Under the new regulations, applicants must not have been outside the UK for more than 180 days in any 12-month period, with limited exceptions. This is particularly challenging for families who need to travel for family emergencies, work obligations, or cultural reasons. Even short visits abroad must now be carefully documented with proof of return dates and reasons for travel. A single mistake could reset the clock on your ILR timeline, delaying your family's future indefinitely. Additionally, the Life in the UK test, a requirement for ILR, will now include updated content and more questions related to British values, law, and culture. The goal is to encourage deeper integration, but for many, it means extra preparation. To navigate these changes successfully, families should keep detailed records of travel, ensure all visa renewals are timely, and start preparing early for both the language and cultural knowledge tests. These new ILR rules are more than a policy update. They shape who gets to truly settle and belong in the UK. It's a reminder that permanence in the immigration system must be earned with consistency, clarity, and careful planning. Number 7. Enhanced biometric and ID verification. The UK is rolling out an updated system for biometric identification and digital verification for immigration applications, including those involving family visas. This upgrade is part of the move toward a more digitally secure border system, but it brings new responsibilities for immigrant families. All applicants, including children, will need to provide biometric data such as fingerprints and facial recognition scans, even for basic renewals or extensions. What's changing most is the introduction of remote verification technology. Instead of attending physical appointments at visa application centres, many applicants will be asked to use mobile apps or secure online portals to upload personal data. While this could save time, it may pose challenges for families with limited digital access, language barriers, or technical difficulties. Mistakes during self-submission, like blurry photos or incomplete scans, can lead to delays or even rejections. It's essential to follow instructions carefully, use certified devices, and reach out for support if unsure. Increased security also means more cross-checking against international databases, including criminal records, immigration history, and previous visa rejections. Even small inconsistencies, like a name spelled differently on documents, can raise red flags. Families should make sure all documentation is consistent, updated, and matches official records exactly. While these updates aim to speed up processing and reduce fraud, they require a higher level of accuracy and awareness from every applicant. In today's system, it's not just about what you submit, but how well you submit it. Mastering the digital side of immigration is no longer optional. It's now a central part of keeping your family's journey to the UK on track. Number 8. Housing requirement modifications. In 2025, the UK will introduce stricter rules on housing requirements for immigrants applying to bring family members. Under these changes, families must prove they have access to adequate accommodation. Not just any place to live, but one that meets specific space and safety standards. This means shared housing or overcrowded flats may no longer be accepted, even if the living arrangement is temporary or cost-effective. The Home Office now requires applicants to provide detailed housing reports showing that the property is free from health hazards, has enough rooms for every family member, and complies with local authority regulations. Landlords may need to submit written confirmations, and in some cases, property inspections by certified professionals will be mandatory. These new conditions are especially difficult for immigrants living in high-rent areas, or those with temporary tenancy agreements, where stability and documentation can be harder to secure. If the housing does not meet the new criteria, visa applications for spouses, children, or dependents could be rejected, regardless of whether other requirements are met. This forces many families to either relocate, upgrade their living space, or spend more on rent than they can afford. It's critical to prepare early by reviewing your rental agreement, checking your property's occupancy limits, and requesting a housing suitability report if necessary. These housing policies are a reminder that the definition of family readiness now extends beyond finances and relationships. It's about creating a physical space that reflects security, comfort, and compliance. Ensuring your home meets these standards could be the key factor in whether your loved ones are allowed to join you in the UK. Number 9. Visa processing time updates. One of the key changes in 2025 affecting immigrant families is the adjustment in visa processing times. While the UK Home Office aims to modernise and streamline the system, early reports suggest that standard processing times for family visas may actually become longer due to increased security checks and documentation requirements. What used to take 8 to 12 weeks could now stretch to 16 weeks or more, depending on the complexity of the case and the number of dependents involved. The new system also places more emphasis on priority and super priority services, which offer faster decisions, sometimes in as little as 5 working days, but come with high costs, often ranging from £500 to over £1,000 per applicant, on top of existing visa fees. For larger families, or those already budgeting for NHS surcharges, biometric data, and housing reports, this can be financially overwhelming. Yet in situations where timing is critical, such as school start dates or health needs, these services may be the only viable option. Delays can create serious disruptions. Families might face extended separation, cancelled travel plans, or missed opportunities like employment start dates or education enrolment. To avoid unnecessary setbacks, applicants should prepare by submitting complete documentation, double-checking all entries and applying as far in advance as possible. Use tracking systems provided by the Home Office and stay informed through official updates. In 2025, time isn't just money, it's family stability, and careful planning around visa processing could make all the difference in keeping your loved ones together and your future plans on schedule. Number 10. New family reunion restrictions. In 2025, the UK will tighten its rules around family reunification, particularly for those coming through refugee or humanitarian protection pathways. Previously, individuals granted asylum in the UK could apply to bring their spouse and children under 18 to join them without needing to meet strict income or housing requirements. However, new policies introduce additional checks and, in some cases, limits on eligibility, especially if the family was formed after leaving the country of origin. One of the biggest shifts is the requirement to prove that the family relationship existed before arrival in the UK. That means couples who married while one partner was already in the UK, under protection status, may face visa refusal. Similarly, children born outside the UK after the parent fled their home country may not qualify unless very specific evidence of dependency is provided. This creates serious challenges for families already separated by conflict, displacement, or legal obstacles in their home nations. These changes are expected to reduce the number of successful reunification cases, leading many to seek legal assistance or appeal through the courts, which can be a lengthy and expensive process. Applicants will now need to provide detailed histories, translated documents, and sometimes even day evidence to prove family connections. It's essential to keep thorough records of your relationship timeline, photos, and communication logs. These new restrictions make it clear that family reunification is no longer a guaranteed right under refugee status. It's a process that requires precision, preparation, and persistence. For many, this shift will define whether loved ones stay divided or are finally reunited in safety. The immigration landscape in the UK is changing fast, and for immigrant families, every policy update could mean the difference between unity and separation. These aren't just government decisions. They're deeply personal. They affect where your children go to school, whether your spouse can stay, and how you build your life in a place you call home. Every change we discussed is backed by official proposals or early rollouts already in motion. Preparation isn't optional. It's urgent. Whether it's the rising income thresholds, the stricter housing and language rules, or the extended settlement timelines, what's clear is this: 2025 will not be business as usual. These rules require more than paperwork. They demand strategy, planning, and community awareness. That's why we made this video, not just to inform, but to empower you with clarity in the middle of uncertainty. We want to hear from you. How do you think these changes will affect your life, your family, or your future plans? Leave a comment, not just for us, but for others who may be facing the same situation. You never know who your story could help. We pour hours into every video to bring you trustworthy, detailed, and timely information that truly matters. If this video helped you understand what's coming in 2025, support us with a simple gesture. Hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us and helps keep this content going strong. And before you go, check out our previous video on navigating UK visa renewals. It's packed with tips that could save you time, money, and stress.